Hi, welcome to Illinois Groundwork. This is an online resource containing research and tools to optimize the design and planning of green stormwater infrastructure in communities and cities. And I'm really pleased to introduce you to Christine Ryan. Christine is the South Carolina State Soil Scientist with the USDA NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. She was with the same office here in the state of Illinois and was a really important part of our fieldwork team. Christine's going to talk about the Web Soil Survey, which is the most comprehensive online public database of superficial soils, the upper 6 feet of land surface here in the United States. She's going to talk through what the Web Soil Survey is, how to find different types of what are the different types of soils that are in your area of interest, and then also to look at a number of different properties around that soil that are helpful in the design of and planning of GSI. And that might include organic matter, water table, saturated hydraulic conductivity, drainage class, those kinds of properties. And in this video, she'll cover that material. And then in a second video, she'll talk about how to generate your own soil report for the soil types that are within your planning area. Here's Christine.
Welcome. My name is Christine Ryan, and I'm going to walk you through a demonstration of Web Soil Survey. Web Soil Survey was created by the USDA as a public-facing website where anybody can access soils information. It's incredibly important for preliminary assessment of a site to ensure that the soils that are mapped there will work with the land use that you need. In order to access Web Soil Survey, click on this URL, and once you're there, you hit this green button. And it's going to bring you to another tab that's going to open up, and it's going to have a map, and on the left-hand side, under the AOI tab, it's going to have search parameters. And in the case of any type of green infrastructure work, you're going to want to look for certain soil properties that will help you determine if this type of green infrastructure is going to be suitable for the soil that you're on. So let's get started. There are many ways to search for an area. You could search by address or state and county or soil survey area. You can even import a shapefile if you have one. And the way that I normally do it is by an address, but I've already got my area that I want to look at. So for these purposes, for this demonstration, I'm going to focus on this area in Cook County, in the southeastern part of Cook County, around Blue Island. There's a lot of work that's been done in geological sampling and also soil sampling and with the urban soil survey. The soils in this area are a mix of lacustrine sediments mixed with beach ridge geology and dune sands geology. So it's pretty varied. And depending on the land use, it could be quite different depending on what soils that you're on. So it's important to understand that. And so I'm going to create an AOI. You can either do that by using just a straight square or box, or you can create your own irregular shaped AOI. It depends on what you're looking for. But for this video, let's just do a straight square. So I'm going to make a little area of interest tab. And once that shows up, you're going to have a blue box. The next step is you go to your soil map tab, and it clips the soils layer from the soil survey of Cook County to this little box. And on the left-hand side is a legend that's going to give you the names of the soils that are mapped within your AOI. They're all hyperlinked, so you can easily click on them and look up some basic soil properties to get an idea of where your green infrastructure project could suitably work. You're going to want to know what soil, the properties of soils, its parent material, drainage class, depth to water table. It depends on what you're working with and what you're trying to do. So the next thing you want to do once you have your AOI, go to your Soil Data Explorer tab. Okay, from here, you're going to find the soil interpretation. So let's go to suitabilities and limitations. This is where you're going to find a lot of your interpretations. And for example, under soil health, You can look at organic matter depletion. This is a metric on how the soil health is measured. If your organic matter decreases, you might have a problem, or it'll help you determine where you need to do some fixing or where a certain green infrastructure might work better. But the other tab here, and going back to this, you can explore all these different types of interpretations. But for green infrastructure, let's go to soil properties and qualities. If you click under soil qualities and features tab, you can see all these different soil properties that you can take a look at. One that is really important for green infrastructure is your drainage class. Now, drainage class is in itself an interpretation based on different properties, but it will give you an indication of maybe how close or where the seasonal high water table is at different parts of the year. And you'll know, okay, well, this soil is well drained, so this might handle this type of plant or be able to handle this type of green infrastructure. So drainage class is important. And if you wanted to see what it looks like on a map, it creates a little thematic map for you. Viewing the description will kind of give you the definition of what we're looking at when we talk about drainage class. And once you've explored that, click your view rating. The areas that are gray or white are areas that have a lot of urban land mapped with it, meaning there's a lot of pavements and buildings. And we don't rate those because it's considered a non-soil. So it's not overly helpful, but as an agency, we are working on fixing that actively and getting some more meaningful soils information out there. But all these other colors they correspond to different types of drainage. And you'll see each soil, a rating, if you will, is applied to it. So Milford and Pella soils are poorly drained. What does that mean? That tells you that there's a water table that's usually within the profile most of the year. So that is one interpretation or one soil property that is important. There is another one that might prove useful. Looking at soil physical properties, there's available water capacity. There's also organic matter. You can see how high organic matter is in certain soils. If you want a soil with a certain amount of sand, you can always take a look at this soil property and rate it, and then you'll get an idea of what soils are sandier. There's also another soil feature that's also really important, and it is down here, the water features. I apologize. Sometimes it takes some digging. But if you scroll down to water features, you have your depth to water table. And that is going to give you the straight numbers of where the water table is at and what months. If you're planning a green infrastructure project, another soil property that you're going to be interested in, because it is in the Illinois Groundwork Toolkit, is saturated hydraulic conductivity, for short, KSAT. And just to give a brief description of it, it refers to the ease with which pores in a saturated soil transmit water. So put simply, how quickly the water is going to move through a soil profile when it's already saturated. And it is a measurement taken in the field, and it is important to note that it is a snapshot in time at a specific location. So while these numbers are a great start, it's also advised and really important to do a site investigation with at least 5 replications for the layers that you want to look at. I think the project will be much more successful if you do a site investigation, in addition to using the web soil survey information. So if you want to view the rating, there are a few parameters that you're going to look at. You can aggregate the data, meaning you can choose how it's going to look at the data based on your needs. You can go by dominant condition or the component, meaning it's going to take the numbers or give you a value for the soil that is the dominant soil within that map unit. You can either do a weighted average or minimum or maximum. But for our purposes, let's do the dominant component. Keep these the same. And you can specify a top depth, and you can do inches or centimeters. Now, while we always work in centimeters and the information that you get from our databases will be in centimeters, you can choose inches. And because the Illinois Toolkit is working in inches, let's go to inches. And let's choose 12 to 36. And this is going to give values for each of the soils within your AOI in this depth range. And so let's view the rating. And if you scroll through here, you can see that each soil has a color on it. And as the redder it gets, the higher the values are going to go. So let's look at Milford. The rating, the KSAT is measured in micrometers per second. And the lower the number means the slower the water is going to transmit. And there's different reasons why. Milford is a poorly drained soil, so it's got a higher clay content, and clay holds on to water pretty tightly. And so it takes longer for water to move through the profile when there's a lot of clay in there. But if you look at Pella, it has a rating of 9.17 micrometers per second, which is pretty good. That means it's going to move through there. And while it is a poorly drained soil, there's enough sand in here that the water transmits more easily. Same with these soils, Mundelein and Barrington, and also Sawmill. While Sawmill is a poorly drained soil found on floodplains, the way the parent material and the percentage of sand, silt, and clay lends itself to transmit water easier than some other ones. And so all of these put together will help you determine the appropriate green infrastructure to install on your area of interest. The Web Soil Survey is a powerful preliminary assessment planning tool, and it can take some time to get used to or navigate to the point where you're comfortable. So if you have any questions on how to use Web Soil Survey, or how to create a soil survey report, or even what soil properties maybe you should be looking at, you can contact Ron Coleman, the Illinois State Soil Scientist, and he'd be happy to answer any questions you have.